guys, let's just go ahead and chop some wood. I don't have anything else to add to what's going on at Georgia right now. I'm excited to see the combine. I am not excited to hear all of the interview portions because Palmer, like they're all going to sound the same. But I know you're going to bring some great coverage back and reporting back some great stuff, beaming it up to the DawgsHQ satellite and sending it back down to us. It's going to be a good week for the Dogs yet again. And I'll just chop wood about that. Look, Georgia ran the NFL Combine last season. The off-field stuff will be present. It will be prevalent. It will be difficult for those guys to deal with. And I know that they're all figuring out how they're going to approach it. But on the field, as they work out and as they show what they're made of physically, I'm ready to see Kenny McIntosh. And he's been the guy, and Palmer, you've written about him recently too. Jim Nagy just pointed out how good he is at pass blocking. Daniel Jeremiah said he needed to work on his pass blocking, so I guess we'll actually see what Kenny McIntosh is made of when some of these drills pop off. But he's really buried on this list of NFL running backs. I know it's a deep class. I know there's a lot of talent there with Jahmyr Gibbs and Robinson out of Texas. But Kenny McIntosh did a lot of special things for Georgia. They knew how to use him, and that was an NFL offensive coordinator that knew how to use him too, and they did a pretty good job with it. So I'm excited to see Kenny Mack. That's what I'm chopping wood about this week as RBU gets to represent itself yet again in Indianapolis. And Georgia knows how to do it. They know how to win there. They know how to do big things.
Do y'all think he is a day 2 or a day 3 pick?
I think he's got a good chance to go on day 2. It's really going to do. I think it really depends on how he runs, because if he goes out there, in my opinion, if he runs out there and he posts, something George Pickens like, just in terms of him running a couple tenths faster than maybe you think he can, like, I'm kind of expecting mid 4.5s, high 4.5s. If he goes out there and runs like a low 4.4, I think he could probably go second round, and he might be able to, because then all of a sudden you start looking, oh man, he can return kickoffs. He can do some pretty special things for you. But like I've said, that 1,333 yards in 15 games last season total, pretty special season for a guy who never really carried the ball 20 times in a game.
Oh yeah, he didn't have more than
a lot of tread left on those tires. That's really going to appeal to an NFL team.
You're right. Yeah. Until this season, he didn't even hit 100 carries in a season until this season. And I believe Del McGee said that he had the best running back hands as a pass catcher since Swift, and DeAndre Swift could snag it.
Yeah. No, I agree with y'all. I think he's going to be a day 2 pick, but there was some discussion on our board about that, and wanted to see what y'all thought there. And one thing that I'll add is, listening to Daniel Jeremiah's comments on this running back class is there is, and I may have said this on the last show, we're mixing up all the days here, but it's a very deep running back class, and there's a good chance that there's a run on running backs at some point. Try saying that 3 times real fast.
Well, there are a lot of free agency moves going on at running back too, and it's already such a tenuous position. It's like musical chairs, man.
Yeah. So I think that's where Kenny has a chance that when a team decides probably in those first 2 days that they, want their running back, and other teams realize, hey, if we're going to get one of the guys at this position, we got to take him here in the next 5 to 10 picks. I think that's where Kenny's got a good chance. He's not the number 1 running back in this class. That's Bijan Robinson. I wouldn't say he's number 2. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a stud. But I think he's got a chance to be a top 5 to 7 running back in this class.
Okay. That's what he should be. We'll see if he actually goes there. I mean, a lot of the mock lists and running back rankings that I've seen have him anywhere from like number 11 to number 12 or 13. And maybe it's just the local bias because I see him every week. But seems like he would stand out head and shoulders above some of those guys, but who knows?
Yeah, it kind of has the feel of maybe like a Dameon Pierce from last year that had a really good year for the Texans. I think that, again, I really do think it's going to come down to that 40 time, because if he comes in there and he's quick, I mean, it's like Zamir White last year. I think Zamir helped himself quite a bit by going in there and running a great 40. And Zamir's not as multi-talented. I think he's a better runner, like a better, true runner of the football, but he's not a multi-talented back like Kenny McIntosh is. I'll go ahead and chop wood on the fact that we're at March 1st. Georgia starts spring practice this month. Georgia's going to start spring practice 13 days, basically 2 weeks from yesterday. We are exactly 2 weeks away from Georgia Pro Day. It's going to be a fun 5 weeks. I'm ready for it. Got a quarterback competition coming up, a real one that we kind of get to witness and unfold. Or kind of cover and step by step. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm ready to get back to it. I know that I'm ready to get back to kind of seeing ball and kind of covering the team that I cover, and not having to do kind of all this off field digging and criticizing and opinion and all that stuff. I want to do some reporting and tell you what I see with my own eyes, because I honestly, Palmer, I hadn't seen a practice since 2021. Only thing I've seen is yoga. Otherwise,
well, it helped Brock Bowers. It helped Brock Bowers to do yoga before the Peach Bowl. He got limber.
Jake, you keep bringing up the 40 times, and we could have discussed this on the show, and I'll just ask y'all this: any predictions on the 40 times? Any bold predictions? No. Robert Beal had one today. He thinks he's going to run in the 4.5s.
I like Broderick Jones to do something freakish. I think Broderick Jones. It's not gonna. I don't think it'll be a huge deal for an offensive tackle. Not going to surprise me if Broderick Jones puts up a Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt type number.
I'll take Stetson. I'll take Stetson as my 40-yard dash guy. That if you pay attention, it won't surprise you if he has a good time. But if he goes out there and blisters the turf, people are going to be talking about it for a couple days. So I'll go
just go time him on his run against Auburn, and you can probably get a 40-yard dash somewhere in there.
Game speed, baby.
There was some talk during the season about him hitting some GPS number like 20, 21 or something like that. I thought.
Yeah, I remember that vaguely. All right, so enough about this. I'll get to my chopping wood. I am chopping wood about Nolan Smith and the walking, talking commercial that he is for UGA. Today, great interview session. Just hearing from the national folks, the NFL people that are around, they were blown away by Nolan. For the UGA folks that are here, it was a normal interview session with Nolan. And that says a lot about how good he is. Time in and time out. This guy is great with the media. You can tell he cares. There's a lot of guys that are forced to do it, that don't want to be talking to us. And sure, he probably has better things to do than talk to me and you guys. And he's probably being forced to do it. I mean, I know he's being forced to do it here, but you can tell that he cares about UGA and, the excitement that he has. I mean, he was about to, jump through the podium today, talking about next year's team. And, he was like, oh, guys, y'all are getting me really excited about Georgia football. The same way that you can sense in a fan, Nolan Smith was a fan on the field this past year. He said, I'm going to be at the first game this year. Probably wearing jeans as opposed to, his pads. But he is excited to see this team. He said, I'll have a story out tomorrow, maybe tomorrow. I'll tentatively, possibly, maybe have it out tomorrow.
I'm quoting you on that. You got to have it now.
Based on everything that goes on. But a lot of talk about next year's team. He had a really good catchphrase for the linebacker crew. Talking to Robert Beal, those guys are excited about what this linebacker group has in store for them next year. And one thing that really stood out to me about Nolan today, he said when his time in football is done, he was asked, hey, what was the thing that you learned the most about yourself when you weren't playing? He said, he talked about how he wants to be a coach. at some point in his career, wants to be a coach, probably wants to start at the high school level because of the way he feels like he can impact a kid. But based on the way that he talks about UGA and gets people fired up about what he's talking about, I think he'd be one hell of a college coach and a great recruiter at that. So I'm chopping wood about Nolan Smith.
Yeah, that team's going to win like back-to-back region titles if he's a high school head coach. Yeah, Nolan, great interview. I posted the link up here earlier in the comments. It's on our channel at DawgsHQ. Go watch the whole thing that Palmer shot and subscribe to DawgsHQ on YouTube for more of that coverage from Indianapolis, as Palmer will have it for the rest of the week.